Well, hello everybody. This is our second episode of our new webinar series, and this episode is called "In the Now Psychology." So today we're gonna be exploring this term "in the now psychology" that uh, we came across when we were talking, me and Harry, a few months ago. And the way I define in the now psychology is being more in the present moment. Because what we see nowadays in our world, especially in psychology, it took a really different route. And it really went the opposite of what it started from. Because the definition of psychology is the study of this spirit and the mind. And that's what I want to focus on. So before we start, we just want to make sure that everyone knows that this session is being recorded and it's going to be shared on social media. So if you want to ask a question, just raise your digital hand and I can unmute you. And yeah, so over to you, Harry. How do you see in the now psychology? What's your definition of that?
Well, first of all, the reason we picked the topic is because I was coaching Omar, and I call the three principles a spiritual psychology, and I emphasize the spiritual element rather than the psychological element, which is so prevalent in the 3P community at the present moment. And then Omar burst out, it's in the now psychology. And I actually thought that was a much more neutral sounding and correct definition of what three principles are. In the now is spiritual psychology. And that we got all excited, and I started to talk to my clients about in the now psychology. And it emphasizes a key element to the healing process that we all have in our minds. All answers are inside, or all answers are in the now. And that is a spiritual insight that you have to come to so that you recognize that the other stuff that you're doing actually doesn't work. Even if the world says so, even if the 3P community says so, it doesn't work. In the now. Now I'm going to try and give you an attempt at what in the now really means, and also what psychology really means. So I'm going to do, this is an indigenous, Native American, Indian teaching, women teaching, which is very good because most of the people here are women. And so this comes from the woman sect of the Coast Salish Native Indians. And so what they do is they call Allah or God or Great Spirit an infinity sign. It's a poor infinity sign. The props are cheap around here. And that infinity sign is a symbol of Allah. Please, if I say anything that offends you, it's not intended at all, So this infinity sign, and we spend our thoughts either in the past, our past thoughts that we have lived, and live spelled backwards is devil. Or we spend our time in future thoughts that we live, and live spelled backwards is evil. So we spend all our time between the image of devil and evil in our thinking. That's psychology. the way we think. And then comes the question, well, where do we go for the peace of mind, the contentment, the happiness? And if you look at the symbol, you see that spot in the middle? Right in the middle, Mr. Neutral, right there. That's where the healing, the peace of mind, the clarity of truth, the inner experience of living within yourself and on this planet in an equilibrium or balanced way is right there. That's now. And within that, we go into past thoughts, which often mean poor me, which is, of course, ego. Or we go into future thoughts, dig me, I'm so great, of course, is ego. And where do we go for that nice feeling with the connection to nature, towards life? Inside ourselves, or in that neutral, impersonal way? Now, why does it work? It's an interesting question. The reason it works is as your level of consciousness or your level of understanding rises, you react less. So things happen from the past and the future that come in, but you don't react. Why not? Because it's just, you see it for what it is. It's just thought. And it just flows in. It comes from the past and it flows on by. And the river that runs through your mind, that fluidity, that's now. Now, when I experienced the now on Salt Spring Island, it was for 3 or 4 minutes, it was just total silence. Was I here? Yeah, not physically, just consciously. I was aware, but I was not here. Where was I? I was in the oneness of life. It's so simple. If you get out of the way, you're in the oneness. If you're in the oneness, guess what happens? Magic all over the place. Just happens. Why does it happen? Because it's always being presented to you, but you get in the way. I don't think so. Or my favorite is, come back later, Allah. I'm busy right now, type of thing. I'm busy thinking about stuff. I'm busy doing. I have important stuff on my mind that I'm going to solve. Past thoughts, future thoughts. And the answer is in the now psychology. Psychology thinking about our human condition and all answers. Now, another thing about the now is it's where the original psychology originated from. Because of course, in the infinity sign, like the circle, no beginning and no end. So I'm going to read something from an unpublished book of Sydney Banks, his autobiography, book 1. Excuse me. Why do you say there are only 3 principles? That's like therapist asked Sid. Because there are only 3: universal mind, universal consciousness, and universal thought cover all aspects of life. They cover all human behavior, all human feelings, and all the separate realities that every human being experiences here on earth. These principles cover all that is known or ever will be known. The answer to your earlier question, when did the original psychology begin? Before the very existence of time, space, and matter. Ooh, good light. So before time, space, and matter, or the title of his autobiography, Beyond Time, Space, and Matter, now. And in the now that Omar cited, you see, when he said it, we were excited because he had an insight. He saw something fresh and new, and it came from him. And that's what we're trying to tell you. You don't have to read books. You don't have to follow anything. You follow your heart, and it will reveal all that you need to know in the now. And why do we meditate? Omar, just a curiosity question about the people who are Muslim oriented. Is meditation a big aspect or an aspect of it?
Well, definitely. I mean, Islam is based on, like we pray 5 times a day. So these prayers, when people see us praying, they think we are meditating or doing yoga. And it is indeed a meditation if we look at it, because it's kind of reminds us that we need to come back to the moment, to the present moment, to in the now psychology, and it's a reminder because we forget that we are in our mind, we are here, up here, and when we are up here, we see things from up here. We don't see things as they are. So we have something called adhan, and it's a call to prayer. And you hear it when you go to a Muslim country. And I guess people here been to Turkey. When you hear adhan, it's a call to prayer, to come and pray. And so prayer is a meditation for us as Muslims.
And we also have that zikr as well, don't we, Omar? So we do a lot of the repetitions of the names of God and praising him as well brings you back to the now of kind of who you really are and the greatness of the one true source who is sustaining and holding you. And that's what meditation is all about, really, isn't it? It's about taking you back to who you really are and allowing you to flow from something that is greater and bigger than you, that yet created you. So yeah, meditation, it really is about a state of mind. It's an alignment, actually. The prayer is actually an alignment between the mind, the body, and the soul and the heart. And when that all combines, which is what the insights are, it's when everything else seems to align with that oneness, isn't it? So so we're supposed to get it 5 times a day, but even then we're still thinking about what we want in the future or what we're angry about in the past sometimes. So the trick really with prayer for us is to really become present and aligned with it.
Thank you for sharing this, Alia. Yeah, this is definitely what it's all about. And if we look at all religions, they all point at the same source, at the same infinite intelligence behind everything, really. And the more we see this in everything, the more we enjoy our experience of life, and the less we engage with our superstitious thinking. Because as I said, we tend to forget, and this is the human experience. This is the human experience, we forget. And once we remember, we are present. So a call to prayer, the adhan for Muslims, is kind of remembering that there is only this present moment. The past is gone. The future is not here yet. The only thing that ever exists is now. And the only thing that clouds our vision and lets us disconnect from this present moment is our thinking.
So you can see 5 times a day, the approach is to revisit that in the now feeling that allows you to leave behind that we're a physical object caught up in a lot of problems or a lot of thinking about stuff. And when the mind rests, the little mind rests, it opens the channel to receive. And that's what you want. You want to receive the Spirit, show guidance that is who you are. And that flow through automatically works if you don't think. And doesn't work if you do think. Of course, as Omar suggested, we seem to be human beings that is part of what we have. So the prayer takes you to formlessness and then allows you to understand that form is just a disguise, energy disguise of formlessness. And that oneness is easier and easiest to be in. It's easy. It's not hard. We believe it's hard. And the reason it's easy is because you're already there. You're already in the now. Except, as I sometimes think, I don't think so. And how many times do you try to talk to people about a beautiful feeling of love and understanding, and they say it can't be that simple? The emphasis on Sydney Banks is simpler the better. When you pray and you have that affirmation inside, it brings that feeling of who you are alive in the now, in the moment. And the more you feel it, the more alive it grows. And the more alive it grows, the more magic you have in your life. In your life, not someone else's life, not someone else's image. Again, past thoughts, future thoughts. Shh. Sid has a beautiful example. You see my glasses? These past and future thoughts, they create scratches on my glasses. After a while, there's so much scratches, you can't see who you are. And then you go back and pray. Guess what happens? New chip. Oh! Fresh, new feelings of regeneration, connection, and wisdom. Wisdom. Good stuff. The good stuff.
Yeah, just to add one thing, Harry, about what you just said, because you know, in the Muslim community, sometimes people pray, but they just pray without being present, you know, and it happened to me as well. So we say that Allah, or this infinite intelligence, is always with us. You know, it's part of us and it's always there, but we don't see it because of our thinking. And the moment we see through that and we let go or let pass our thinking, we let it flow, we are back again with, you know, the infinite intelligence. And we have a specific word for it in Arabic, which is khushu'. You feel like goosebumps and you just are full of gratitude of, you know, of that feeling of that peace, of that moment, and for everything really.
That's beautiful. What was that word again? I'm sorry, Omar. It was.
It's an Arabic word. It's khushua. It sounds like a Russian alphabet. Khushua.
That's so beautiful. I just love. For me, excuse when I hear the sayings of Muhammad or the story of, it's so beautiful because it's so fresh for me, and it's reeks of purity of truth, and it's so beautiful. It brings, almost makes me feel like crying because it's so. I love hearing fresh, new ways of expressing what Omar was talking about. It's beautiful, beautiful. Lucky people, lucky.
So we've got Sadan who's raising his hand. You can unmute yourself, Sadan, if you have any question.
Unmute.
Okay, let me unmute you.
He is unmuted.
Oh yeah.
Where is he? Disappeared.
Oh, he disappeared. Okay, we can. Okay, Michelle got a question. You can unmute yourself, Michelle.
Yeah, I just did that. I just wondered. Actually, I think I know the answer to this already. Like I only woke up a few weeks ago, and what you were talking about being in the flow, honestly, when it happened, I cannot tell you what was being spoken about at the time. All I remember is these words coming out of my mouth that didn't even pass through my brain. And I said, oh my goodness, I feel like I've come home. And then since then, I've had so many insights. It's the most beautiful feeling I've ever experienced. One thing I've noticed more of in the last 2 weeks is when I drop out of that, when I drop out of being in the moment, or let me give you an example. So for today, I mean, I listen to Sid Banks' audio or watch a video or read some portion of the book every morning and every night before I go to bed, and I found that absolutely amazing because I've had some wonderful insights as a result of that. Today I was happy as Larry, tootling along marvelously. Then I read a couple of posts, and the reason that I was like in the flow was, the insight that I had this morning was that, oh my goodness, all this time I haven't really known how to relax, not properly. Even in my relaxed moments, I've still been doing stuff. And by stuff, I don't mean necessarily enjoying reading a book, or, I've been sat here and I've been on my computer, or I've done stuff. Anyway, so I was in this beautiful feeling. I was, in the now. I read a couple of posts on Facebook about, it's time to take action, and, stop talking about what you want to do and get on and do it. And all of a sudden, I felt myself drop. And I know when it's happening now because I get a really horrible feeling in my stomach, or like I feel like a weight on my chest. And I guess my question is, when that happens, what's the best way to manage that in your opinions?
Can I answer this question, Harry? Yeah. So you were feeling great, and then when you read this post on Facebook, you felt down, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that when we try to look for information outside of us, we get more insecure. And the more insecure we get, the more, we forget who we truly are. So we are not present. So what I would say is just to turn within, because the moment you turn within, all this information doesn't affect you much. You come back to security because it's always there up for grabs. The moment you let go of it, you're back to now.
Do you know what?
If you have anything to, yeah.
You've actually just hit the nail on the head, and I didn't even realize that's what it was. It was the posts that I read made me feel insecure about the fact that I'd chosen to, just be more relaxed and not sort of be fast and furious. Because when you get up here, that's what tends to happen. And yeah, I think I allowed those posts to sort of make me start questioning myself and the decision that I'd made. Yeah. So actually what you've just said really makes sense. I didn't recognize it as a feeling of being insecure. And B, I get, from what you're saying, it's just a case of like, let it go, and then just sort of maybe sit and get silent and just, go to that quiet place. Yeah.
I mean, you remind me of myself when I used to read these how-to's books, at some point I feel good, but then, I have all this information that's, for example, I have to do affirmations every morning when I wake up to feel great, so I can enforce these beliefs and stuff. But when I feel bad, I start questioning, like, if there is anything wrong with me, So I try to look for a new way to not feel insecure, stressed, this and that. And the thing with the beauty of the three principles is that it takes off a lot of unwanted thoughts that you're not even aware of out of your mind. And that's why some people call it subtractive psychology, because it takes a lot of stuff out of your mind. And the less thoughts you have, the more present here, enjoying your human experience in the moment.
Could I say something just to add a little something to that? In the 3P, oh, thanks, Omar.
I mean, whenever you want.
Yeah. In the 3P world and in all worlds, obviously, we are leaving behind a lot of suffering, and we have this beautiful feelings, the ones you described, Michelle, and Omar described. And then there comes a deeper level where whatever comes into your reality is seen in a neutral perspective. So it is true that we get ruffled, and Dr. Bill Pettit calls those love letters from Allah, letting you know that your thinking is not so cool. That even though you think you feel good, you have a little blind spot here. Just a little lack of understanding about the purity of the flow through. So what I have noticed, and this doesn't get talked about very much, is whenever I have an uncomfortable feeling, those are my bigger learnings. It's easy to flow as you attuned to, but these bigger learnings, because you don't react and don't get caught up in, you see them, in the now, you see them easily. They just ease through. You don't ruffle them. See, that's so cool. You're uncomfortable, but you don't ruffle them. And not only do they flow through, they have a treasure chest at the end of them. Oh, look at that. I didn't understand, and now I do. That's beautiful. For me, that was the hardest part of the 3P, or whatever journey we're on, which is not 3P, it's truth or connection to Allah or God or whatever. And when I learned to relax and enjoy those and see them no different, see, there's the two sides of the past thoughts and future. There's another one. Oh, I'm poor me, or you get overexcited. You know, when you get overexcited, guess what happens? You get out of the now. Yeah, you're feeling good. Everybody else feeling different. You can't, you're just, you know, and the other is, ooh, my energy feels low. It doesn't matter on a impersonal level what you are experiencing. They're all good. They're all from Allah. They're all divine. And when you pray, I bet sometimes, Omar, I'm just guessing, sometimes you pray, you don't come out with a connection. You come out with a, oh, I was having a little trouble figuring this out. I don't know if this is true, Omar, but I would imagine. And all of a sudden, because your mind rests, clarity comes in. And you go, oh, God, I'm glad I prayed. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, as I said, like prayer is a state of meditation. And what we know about state of meditation, the more present we are, the more we feel good, and the more we are more likely to have insights and see things clearly. So this definitely applies in prayer. I mean, it applies for everyone who really, it's our natural state. So everyone has access to this. There is no difference between a Muslim or non-Muslim. We are all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. And what we mean by Allah is just the infinite intelligence behind life and divine mind, as Sid.
Yeah, Sid would have no trouble with that definition. No trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say I see it the same way. You know, that's what he would say about that. And while you're talking, oh, I had a thought, it disappeared. It will come back a little bit later. I would love to hear from some of the others of what they feel the prayer and meditation experiences like, or achieves, or what they get out of it.
Any question like related to this or the topic of this?
I got it. Just a sec.
Webinar.
I got it. Came back. Okay. So in the indigenous Native American, they do sweat lodges, which is like their ceremony. And they come into the sweat lodge.
They say most lodges stay at over 1.
And they got lots of things on their mind. They've had a horrific week, terrible. And they come into the sweat lodge and they look like 100 years old, all haggled. And they go into the ceremony and the spirit comes in and they experience that healing power of the spirit, the atonement, the oneness with the oneness. And they come out, quite often they look 20 years younger. They're just beautiful. They have these beautiful feelings. But, this is where 3P is so good, but they start talking about the same old problems they had when they walked into the sweat or the ceremony. And then within 20 minutes, it's gone. They've lost contact. It's still there, of course, but they've lost contact with it, and they're back in their old past world, thinking about the past or the future takes you away from the now. And I'm amazed, but that's where understanding or consciousness comes in. You're along for the ride, you know. It's not just something that's happening to you. You're there too. No offense, but you're still there. And the more you experience being there, and that it's something that you're part of, then the feeling inside grows and grows. And the now becomes something you understand. Because, of course, what is now? Now is feeling oneness in the moment of love, I guess. You know, I guess I find I love myself. Oh, that's a revelation. You know, that's nice to feel. And here's the big one. Number one, you love your thoughts. Ah, then you've really got something. Oh, love my thoughts. Perfect. They're all gifts. They're all love letters from God. Might as well enjoy them. Only one person cannot enjoy them. Only one person experiencing them. And when you do that, you become a better human being. Simple, so simple. And when you don't like your thoughts, guess what happens? You're less human, more in the animal world or whatever you want to call it. That's pretty good. That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, both of you, for what you've like said about where I was at. And I'm really sorry about that, Harry, but like your energy must be super high, because when you said sweat lodges, my Google Home Mini started telling me about what sweat lodges are, and it's not even turned on.
Good.
So
good.
there you go.
My name is Lisa. I came a little late, but I would love to share.
Hi, yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm in Minnesota, and I work in. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, so I'm considered an essential worker, and I've been working through this whole COVID, and we have to follow really strict guidelines when we have inpatient treatment clients. So I've been really stressed. I'm also part-time. I'm getting my graduate degree in co-occurring counseling, actually in St. Paul, where in September was to be the big event at Metro State. Unfortunately, it is online now because it's only a couple hours or less than that from my house. I was looking forward to that, but I will be there virtually. So anyway, you had talked about prayer and meditation, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've found is through the summer semester of my college work, I was horribly procrastinating. And I realized that in August now that I hit a COVID wall, so to speak, a pandemic wall with my thoughts and in turn my behaviors. And I had to take an incomplete for one of my classes, not that it was difficult, but because I wasn't living in the now. And the stress that goes with all this is experienced by most everyone I know. So when you said, Harry, to love your thoughts, that was a complete revelation to me. And it makes so much sense because I end up in a battle inside my mind. I'm also in recovery. I have 8 years sober tomorrow, and it's the longest I've ever been sober. So it's pretty exciting on top of everything else. In my prayer meditation, I find that my commute to and from work is an excellent place to commune with the powers that guide me. I say some memorized prayers. I ask for guidance for my day, and I find that in doing so, it kind of relieves this pressure to perform. It alleviates pride. It brings on humility, and it keeps me in today. The other thing that I use is oftentimes people in recovery have flashbacks or look at their history and have lots of regrets for some of their behaviors. I'm no different. However, I find that if I just say the words, "Thank you for my life today," not only does it bring me back to now, it relieves this self-pressure of past deeds that can no longer be repaired, for lack of a better word. And if I start my day with a thank you for waking up and a thank you for another day sober when I go to bed, it feels so much better. So I'm still new to the 3 principles. I know some of it, not a lot, but I know that my thoughts have a lot of power over my body, my actions, and ultimately my emotional maturity. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. This was amazing. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
And congratulations on your 8 years sober. That's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone got any other question or some insight to share with us all?
Pramila, how do you see this?
Oh, totally. Totally. And the more I stay in the conversation, the more I'm seeing it.
Ah, magic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I got it. Just a sec. I got a thing for that. Just a sec. Watch this.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
learned it, so I just have to do it. Yeah.
The key is staying in the conversation and then going back to that little spot. I loved your infinity. I've seen it before, but today it just hit me. And I love that past and present, and then poor me, and then, oh gosh, am I so excited. And still you have to come back to that little itty bitty. And that connection to that point, that now, that sharp, loving point of the me. It's very relieving. It's totally there. And like you said, everybody, all the religions, everybody's saying the same thing. With there is nothing but the formless. Nothing, but I'm beginning to have no, I had even problem with religions. Omar knows that. With religions, because when it comes into form, then this spirituality, this formlessness, takes form in form of rituals and confusion and separatism. And that creates havoc. And if we can stay above this, into this now that we're talking about, life is so beautiful. That's where we all come together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we all come together. And that's what I love about 3P, how it's brought it into a nutshell for me. It's taken away the walls of religion that I was locked in. It's taken all that away. And it's brought me to that little spot in me that says, that's who everybody is. That's where I am.
And that's,
And I rest in that. I rest in that.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Two things. That's what our group is about. We're trying.
Yeah.
That's really what
Spiritual unity. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
It's all one. It's all
Yeah.
one. Can I share something? Because I've watched a documentary about the physicist David Bohm, and as part of his work, he wanted to bring together the quantum mechanics and the law of relativity, and he wanted to show that it's all interconnected. So when you shared your insights, Pramila, this is exactly it's all one. It's all one. And what struck me about this documentary is that most of the physicists rejected David Bohm's idea. And he went on his own and he proved them wrong, because truth always shows itself. I mean, I've heard once that we come across truth every day and we do like we didn't see it. And Sid Banks used to emphasize on that there is only one truth. And that's what all religion points at. They point at this, this truth. And this is what the three principles about. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Pramila.
I'm going to have to leave a little early. My apologies. I have to join another meeting, but I will see you next week.
I'll
Thank
look
you.
forward.
Thank you for inviting
Yeah,
me.
it's okay. Good to have you here, Pramila.
Nice meeting
Does anyone got any question or something to share with us?
Well, if not,
Can I have a question. I have a question that I've heard from an NHS worker in London. And this question is about, you know, you hear the three principles, like mostly people focus on, they kind of reject the idea that there is something wrong with people. You know, and sometimes it offends people. So what do you think about this, Harry?
well, first of all, the 3P at the present moment is at a level of consciousness. So it's not the purity of the three principles as expressed by Sydney Banks. It's the expression of the level of consciousness of what is understood and what they feel will be received by the people at their present level of consciousness. So the understanding of things, when you present it from a psychological perspective, it does resonate within people in an easier way than the spiritual message. A spiritual message can be quite ambiguous and so on. So as they define the form of the single paradigm or the way that they're approaching addiction, Lisa, I'll be speaking at that conference too. Bill Pettit and I are the concluding act, of the show. So when I'm part of what I see there, I love the feeling, and I love how they're having so much success in addiction. But do I see it as the same message as Sydney Banks? No, I don't. Do I see it as the same message of the way I teach? No, I don't. You have to come, it's your journey. You have to take what it offers and the prejudices, the misunderstandings, and the assumptions of the people, and again, go into now, Omar. It's you and your journey with truth. If you know it's true, it doesn't matter what anyone says, including the 3P community and the echelon of success within it.
Yeah.
I have found something very valuable in what your question is. You know what I found? Freedom of Harry Durbitsky. I know what I feel and think. I know what the Spirit is talking to me about. It's enough. It's enough. All the rest of it, I'd leave alone, Omar. Yes, learn. They have stuff to teach. I have learned a ton from 3P people, but I only have one teacher. That's Sydney Banks. And for people here, they only have one teacher. It's Muhammad, No, stay with that. Stay with that. That feeling of expression. But what happens is we get lost psychologically, and the 3P answers it because they are the building blocks of the total human condition. And if they are, it's good to know about them. And that's all. Stick to the purity of the principles and forget the rest of the bunk.
Yeah, that's beautifully said, Harry. And as I was pondering on this question myself, I found that it is true that we kind of reject what's going wrong with people, because when someone comes to you and tells you that needs fixing, we don't see them as someone to fix, but rather we see their innate health. And once they see this for themselves, we don't tell them what to do. Once they see this for themselves, they know what to do next. They see that place within them that maybe they've forgot that it's there, that it's all made up. And that's the thing with nowadays psychology. Most of the time, people, they see people as like there is something wrong with them and I need to fix them, or need to give them this approach to do and that. And that's the beauty of the 3 principles. Nobody could tell you anything. Nobody is more wiser than anybody. We are all one. We're all part of the whole, and we all have access to this wisdom once we see who we truly are. So yeah, I think we approached 8 o'clock already, my time. If anyone got any question, please do unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll just finish this webinar here.
It's Michelle here. I just want to say thank you. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Really, honestly, from my heart. I've learned from being on this call, and I love that. You've really helped me, and I really appreciate it, and I definitely will continue to attend.
Great. That's what it's about. Isn't it nice to have a different
Thank you.
flavor? A little, you know,
Ah,
Yeah, this is so
absolutely.
touching.
so
Absolutely.
fresh, so fresh. Yeah.
Exactly. And I do find, I mean, I'm reasonably new to the 3P thing, but I do find that, you know, some people like go off on a tangent, and it's, for me, it's a bit confusing. So what you've said actually, and I've got a coach at the moment as well, and she said the same thing. Always go back to Sydney Banks. You know, that's where the real deal is. So thank you. I really appreciate it, Harry and Omar. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thanks to you,
I'd
Michelle.
like to just talk for a second, Omar, about what. So we're going to do one more group discussion, and then after that, we're going to have a guest and then a group discussion, a guest and a group discussion. And we've got September, October, and December filled, and now I'm going to try and fill November, and I'll put out a schedule. And the rest of the group discussions will be, Omar has a list of questions or what we talk about, or if there's a topic that we feel is relevant, we'll go to that. It's a loose, fair thing, and Omar and I are, to be honest, we're growing from each other's sharing. You know, that's the reality.
And for those of you who are not in the group, just one second. We have a group on our Facebook group that is called Tawheed. I'll write it down on the chat box. Tawheed, spiritual unity of the three principles. Just send us an invitation and we'll accept you guys, and we will just post all the updates and upcoming webinars in there. Yes, Sabia.
Omar, Harry, I want to say again, an amazing talk. Thank you. Loved it. You're both amazing. And together, you're perfect.
Thank you, Sabia. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Makes our hearts feel good. And yeah, so first and third Thursday, same time, same station type of thing. And go ahead, Omar, you can wrap it up.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for coming. I did really enjoy that, and I'm really grateful to have you all with us. And thank you, Harry, for what you shared with us, and thank you guys for your insights, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.